Now that I have tried this beverage, I don't think I can live without it.
No.
So there are 1,520 questions that have been asked online.
Okay, here we go.
So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite piece of advice to give to young people?
Get started. Get started.
Nice.
You don't know what you're going to do. So there's some geologists back there. President's a big liberal arts guy, former governor. Just get started. You don't know what's going to happen. As a mechanical engineer, we're in Boeing, and my boss said to me, well, we want you to come work on 767. Well, when's that going to fly? Oh, 15 years. I went, wow, I'm going to try something else. And so here we all are. You don't know what's going to happen. Don't freak out, just go. Yes, sir.
So what's the most amazing scientific discovery you have made in your lifetime?
That I've made? I mean, okay. The thing that does freak me out, you guys, so when I was in school, we had Carl Sagan, and we also had a guy named Hans Bethe. And Hans Bethe, unlike many of us here, had a Nobel Prize. And he was a guy that discovered the CNO cycle, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, in stars. And he was the guy who led to what we all think of as common knowledge now, that we are made of all the elements you see on the periodic table. Any chemists here? Woo. Biologists? Yeah, so we are made of star dust. We are made of the stuff of exploded stars. And that means, whoa, we are at least one way that the universe knows itself. Dude, if that doesn't give you pause for thought, if that doesn't fill you with reverence, oh my goodness. Two questions we all ask. Where did we come from? How did life begin? Where did we come from?
Where did we come from?
Put another way, what are we doing here? And then the other question is, are we alone? Could the stardust make more organisms that ask the same questions? That flips me out. Yes, sir, back to you.
What are your thoughts on the large and growing aquatic oil and trash pollution?
Oh, oil and trash pollution sucks.
Yeah!
I want to disabuse you all of an idea that the man has been selling you. And so, look, this is a plastic bottle made of polyethylene terephthalate. It's amazing stuff. It is just amazing material. If we went back in time, saw Og, the cave guy, and Agathe, cave. You know, the cave's in France, so I presume it'd be that construction. Augette. And we showed them this, and they go, "Oh my God, man from the future, that is amazing stuff. You can melt it down, and yes, we can make more. That's amazing. You can see my reflection. Yes." This is cool stuff, but we don't want to leave it all over the world. And so everybody, you may have, when I was growing up, there was this thing, every litter bit hurts. And that's true. It's true that if everybody could pick up his or her own trash, the world would have less trash. But recycling this bottle, although is a fine thing to do, is not the answer. We need huge ideas. We need big ideas for renewable electricity, access to the internet, clean water for everybody. Because if we could have those three things, we could raise the standard of living of girls and women. And when you raise the standard of living of girls and women, everybody's life is better. Everybody's life is better. Just you guys, I'm glad we're all going to recycle this bottle. That's good. But keep in mind, we need much bigger, enormous, or huger ideas. So let's go. Let's get her done.
So as you mentioned, you started your career as a mechanical engineer. What made you want to pursue science and education full time?
Well, sir, what happened was I came of age in engineering when the United States abandoned teaching the metric system. I had had a little bit of it in elementary and high school, but the United States officially abandoned teaching the metric system, saying inches and miles have gotten us this far, we're fine. But if you compete, I mean, you can hate the metric, you're fine, but if you want to compete internationally, you've got to do things the way everybody else does. And the metric system didn't come from nowhere. We have 10 fingers. That's where they got the idea. You know, if you have a liter of water, its mass is a kilo. One. Well, come on. How else would you do it? Then the United States produced two extraordinary vehicles. The Chevy Vega, where you had to loosen the engine mounts and rock the engine to change the spark plugs. And it had, just for material science buffs, it had an engine made of two different metals, aluminum and steel, and so it would warp and just seize up, which you don't want in a car. And then the infamous thing was the Ford Pinto. So the Ford Pinto was so bad, how bad was it? It was a fine car to drive, but it rusted, the paint was not well applied, but the infamous thing that happened, if you somebody rear-ended your Ford Pinto under certain conditions, it would burst into flame, which most people don't want. But the other thing, there were notorious 7 people were killed by this thing. And then documents were revealed, you can find them online, that the legal department of the Ford Motor Companies decided it'd be cheaper to pay the lawsuits in deaths than move the gas tank. It's just, you guys, come on. And so I was really worried about the US. I was really worried. And I realized, I was a young guy, I was a big United Way big brother, you know, and I was volunteer at the Pacific Science Centers. I wanted to influence young people. So here we are. That's
it. So this question came up dozens of times.
Uh-oh.
The question is, are there more wheels or doors?
Oh my God.
I don't know. Depends what you count as a wheel.
Door!
So the high schoolers have an opinion. It depends what you count as a wheel. You know, if you have the cash register tape, the adding machine tape, are those wheels or gear? Is it gear? I want to address the following issue with a follow-up question, which may be there. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's a taco! We've been to Starbucks.
So you guys, there is, in my opinion,
Oh my God, do you think Bill's and I have been to the Starbucks? Oh
a
no.
hot dog is not a sandwich. Because you do not serve a sandwich, you do not serve a hot dog cut in half. So this argument was presented to me and Corey Pelt, my co-host on the podcast. This argument was presented to me by John Hodgman. He's a brilliant guy. And you all know John Hodgman, he's a comedian. If you saw the commercial with Apple versus Windows, he was the guy who played Windows. He just looks like the dorkiest nerd guy. Hot dogs are not cut in half, therefore not a sandwich. Back to you.
Of all the things you've done, what proved to be the most challenging and posed the most adversity, and how do you navigate this and any setbacks that came with it?
Well, you guys, I tried to pull an all-nighter And I got a D on the final exam. That was a mistake. Don't do that. Get enough sleep. Thank you. That was a setback, a collegiate setback. That was dumb. But one time, I started out working on a comedy show in Seattle. And this is when Seattle was just coming of age. The Seattle Mariners beat the New York Yankees in baseball. And, this was Foo Fighters, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, were all around. I was working on a comedy show called Almost Live. You might find it on the electric internet, on your computer machines. And this was Bill Nye, the science guy, early on. You may have done this. You can put very, very hot water in this bottle. Pour it out, put the top on really fast, put it in a bucket or a big bowl of very warm or hot water, and the water vapor will turn to liquid, and the bottle will crush as though squeezed by a giant's fist. And that's fine, but I tried to do the same thing with an oil drum. A 90-liter, 55-gallon oil drum. So, what was going to look really cool, I boiled water, and you can get a reconditioned oil drum. It's not going to explode. It's been washed out. You boil water in it, a little bit of water, a liter of water in it. Steam comes out. It gets really hot. Okay. You turn off the burner. You put the bung in the bung hole, which is a real thing. Tighten it with the bung wrench. Then the premise of the bit was spray the 55-gallon drum with a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. Little chips of dry ice. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I'm on live television. So nothing happened. I was a setback. So the trick is you get this equivalent of a kiddie pool full of ice water, because that conducts heat way better. You boil the water, you take the oil drum, you put it in the kiddie pool. Wham! Oh, it's cool. It's cool. I've done it a dozen times. But that was a set. You just got to come back and say, doggone it. I'll try again. So I did later. That's like that. You just got to keep going, you guys. After you get started, you just got to keep going. Yes. Hang on.
So what is it like, or how does it make you feel to be responsible for raising, teaching, and being a part of multiple generations of students in the classroom?
You guys, it's fantastic. I say all the time, I don't get it. We did, on the old show, we gave a document to everybody who came to work. This is a public broadcasting station. We had a lot of interns, people working for free. We would give everybody this piece of paper that I wrote, how we're going to do the show. And at the top it says, objective, change the world. So that's what I want you all to do. And I'll tell you something that I'll get choked up, is the original piece of paper that I produced on a dot printer back before inkjets is in the Smithsonian. It's in a drawer in the basement. So I want
We need to get that on display.
I want you to make the world, to leave the world better than you found it. We can do this. Yes, we'll keep it. Just keep
it. So how did you discover your passion for science?
I don't remember. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding. You ask anybody who wants to be a doctor, any pre-med people, what have you. When did you love biology? You don't remember, you were a little kid. Anybody who wants to be a journalist, when did you love storytelling? You were a little kid, anybody who wants to be an English major is because you love words. That stuff, seriously, that stuff happens before you're 10. It happens, most people, before they're 7. So I was on the front porch. I think we were playing Crazy Eights, you know, that very sophisticated card game.
Yeah.
And I think it was the summer before I went to kindergarten. And I, sitting cross-legged, got stung by a bee. And that was very troubling. I was a kid, I was crying, and my mother put ammonia on it. And for the young people who don't know what ammonia is, it's an original Windex. That's the active ingredient, ammonia, NH4. And it felt better. Like the ammonia somehow denatures the bee venom, breaks it break apart. And then my older brother, who's still older, had a chemistry set back when they were cool and dangerous. He made this compound in the palm of your hand that your sweat would make it smell like ammonia. He'd make ammonia in your hand, and then, which I thought was really cool. But on the bottle of ammonia was a skull and crossbones. Like my mother's trying to kill me, which I can understand. But that connection between this thing that is dangerous one way but is very beneficial from another is made from these two that just amazed me. And so I've loved science ever since. Now keep in mind, my dad called himself Med Nye boy scientist when he was messing around. And my mom, you guys, was graduated from college in 1942. From a small liberal arts college in Baltimore called Goucher College. And back when they had such things, it was the sister school to Johns Hopkins, which is a well-known institution. Only men went to Hopkins and women went to Goucher. Now it's co-ed now, they let boys in, it's co-ed. But, you know, I kid, it was fellas. Anyway, she was recruited to work on code breaking in World War II. She was one of the code girls.
Woo!
And so I was brought up with this science tradition. So I don't know. It was as long as I can remember. Yes, back to you, Doctor Jeff.
So, as it says, we've all seen your TV show, but what was life like for you when you were building, designing, and setting up that TV show? What was your life like?
It was busy. So, is anybody here in the theater majors? So, you know, the thing in the theater is if you get a gig, you get to do it over and over for 6 weeks or something, right? Well, when you work on television, you do it over and over and over and over. And it was very, it took a lot of energy. And I was a young man. But we, you know, by we, the crew, we were very passionate about it. So there were some days that were just the coolest thing in the world. We made it in a warehouse in Seattle, this old building that's still there. And we were doing our best, but I don't think anybody thought it would be as influential as it turned out to be. And what happened was, I went back to Cornell at my 10th reunion, and I wrote a letter to Carl Sagan's assistant. This is once again the joke about plant-based technology. It was a paper letter, and he agreed to meet with me for 5 minutes. And I said, I want to do this TV show to get young people excited, but he says, focus on pure science. Don't do your engineering things that you like, you know, bicycles or airplanes, but focus on pure science, because he said kids resonate to pure science. And so when I was doing the Science Guy show, I'm serious, I was feeling that passion. What is it about your favorite teacher or your favorite professor that you love? What is it? It's their passion. They're into it. They love geology or words or storytelling, whatever it is. And so when I was doing the show, I did my best to let the passion, the joy of discovery come out. Yes.
So if you were only going to give one presentation for the rest of your life, And you could choose any topic.
It's not that you're going to shoot me after I do it.
What would it be and why?
One president, well, I guess it would be somehow about the passion, beauty, and joy, the PB&J of science. So, you guys consider the following. All four of my grandparents were born in the 19th century. All four of my grandparents were born in the 1800s. When they were born, they didn't know anything about relativity. They didn't know there was such a thing. They didn't know there was DNA, let alone modern understanding of evolution. They didn't know how the sun stayed hot. They didn't know any of that. And yet in their lifetime, relativity was discovered. Does anybody have a mobile phone? Anybody? Yeah. If you don't have one, somebody will show you. It depends on both special relativity, the speed of satellites relative to the Earth's surface, and general relativity, the effect of gravity on clocks. You got to have both. And then now we take it for granted. So right now, if you talk to an astrophysicist, when I was in school, when I was a kid, everybody presumed the universe was expanding and slowing down. Big Bang, expanding and slowing down. But no, it's accelerating. It's getting bigger, faster and faster. And you know why? Nobody knows why! And so if you talk to the astrophysicists, they say, well, it's dark matter is what it is. It's stuff you can't see. Well, what controls the stuff you can't? That's dark energy. It's your dark energy on your dark matter. That's what that is. There. Take care of. So I would not be surprised if in your lifetimes somebody finds out what dark energy is. And I will not be surprised if in your lifetime somebody finds out how to harness that. How to understand it so well it becomes commonplace. And then you just think about the other thing that's just going to change the world, you guys, is CRISPR. I can do this. Clustered, regularly interspaced, short, palindromic repeats, CRISPR. So, as I mentioned earlier, we used to have 3 billion people. Now we're going to have 9 billion people. And everybody is going to want something to eat. And we are going to provide it for them. And it's going to be generally with new types of crops, new types of farm food. And we will create these crops using genetic manipulation in a way that George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, shaking the pollen from one plant onto another would really think was cool. And then we're going to figure out how to feed everybody. So these things, the world, what my message would be is the best is yet ahead. The best is yet ahead. The discoveries that are going to be astonishing. Yes.
So what are your thoughts on commercializing space travel?
Oh, so I'm all for it. So you guys, commercial space travel has changed your world. Do you know the spaghetti plot of hurricanes? There's the tracks of hurricanes. When I was a kid, nobody was really sure. They could be off like 50 miles, 100 nautical miles, this way or that way. Well, now they're off like 5 miles because we have satellites, space assets. When you look at your phone, you want to know the weather, and it's off 20 minutes, you start complaining because we have space assets. Then we all know that Mars is a place that has an atmosphere and stuff because we've explored space. And this James Webb Space Telescope is going to make amazing discoveries. But we were able to do all that because getting into space has gotten cheaper and cheaper. And so you all, I'm somewhat active with the Mount St. Helens Institute, which is Mount St. Helens, a volcano in Washington State. near where I used to live, and our internet is going to come from satellites at this new facility, because satellites now are going in low Earth orbit, handing the internet from one to the other, just like a mobile phone, are going to be commonplace because of commercial space. And SpaceX, just a tip of the hat, they are the most reliable rocket company in the world right now. And by all accounts, Elon Musk himself, did you see his tweet yesterday on April 1st? Tesla's going bankrupt. It's a joke. It was April 1st, everybody. That's Musk is that way. Anyway, he's pointed out if we just, he wanted to go to, I want to go to Mars, And so everybody told him, people in the engineering space community told him we got to lower the cost of getting to low Earth orbit. Like it's not practical, as far as anybody knows, to build a rocket big enough just to go straight to Mars from the Earth's surface. Instead, you're going to Earth orbit, bring some fuel up there and some other stuff, and then go to Mars in a flotilla, or what have you, a space-tilla. Anyway, he said, well, if we're going to do that, we just can't be throwing rockets away. And the cheapest part of a rocket is the fuel. So let's just put in more fuel. Cool. And it's working. I've been at Cape Canaveral, man, when the two boosters come back down and land like a freaking dartboard. It's amazing. And so you are living at a time when the commercialization of space is improving everybody's quality of life. Clean water, renewable electricity, access to the internet. Because when you have access to the internet, when you have clean water, everybody can eat and be healthy. When you have renewable electricity, everybody can have electricity all the time. When you have the internet, you can provide education and raise the standard of living of girls and women around the world. Everybody's life will be better because of space. Back to you.
So we have a lot of questions, and we're obviously not going to get to them all, but one last question.
Oh, hold on, we can't take, this is going to be the last one.
What's your favorite color?
All right, here we go.
Ready? What inspires you?
Say again?
What inspires you?
What inspires me? Science! I will claim that science is the best idea humans have ever had. And humans have had a lot of ideas. And you guys, I guarantee you, there is something that I believe in, that I am sure of, that's wrong. Well, what is that? I don't know. But it's this process. It's this way of knowing the world. It's this discipline, what people call critical thinking, skepticism in the traditional sense, formal skepticism, where you question things, you question claims. And as Isaac Asimov, a science fiction writer and molecular biologist, is famously quoted, science doesn't start with eureka. It starts with, that's funny. Wonder what caused that? And that is what has enabled us to have this building, healthy food, clean water, electricity, vaccines. It's all possible. Because you don't want everybody to become a scientist. And I can tell you, you don't want everybody to become an engineer. I mean, the fashion problems alone. But you want everybody in society to have an appreciation for this process. So, something I'm really proud of. After the Sojourner mission to Mars, were two more, the Mars Exploration Rovers, MER, which were called, they get names like ships. You know, right now is Perseverance, and still running up there is Curiosity. Before that was Spirit and Opportunity. Well, I was asked to work on this thing to get the colors right on the cameras. And it's a little thing that casts a shadow. When you look at the shadow, you can see the color of the sky. You don't believe me? Go out tomorrow and look, make a shadow with something white like your shirt, and you'll see that you can see the blue of the sky in the shadow. Well, on Mars, it's quite orange. Anyway, I was working on this thing, and I realized that we could put a message on it, like a message in a bottle. And so it says on the edge of these little things, on these two rovers, and on Spirit and Curiosity is a version of the same thing. It says we built this instrument in 2003, and arrived in 2004. We built this study of the Martian environment, learned about what for science award, and then it says in very small letters, it says, to those who visit here, we wish a safe journey and the joy of discovery. The joy of discovery, my friends, that is the essence of science. That is what I am passionate about. All of us have felt that. You notice something, you see how something works, you see a cause and effect, and you change the way you do something, you change your approach, you become more efficient and better and happier. So everyone, I encourage you every day to celebrate that idea, and just think about that. It's optimistic. Someone's going to go to Mars and read that. It's in 16 languages on top of that inscription's in English, which is still the language of aerospace. But it's optimistic. Someone's going to go there. Someone's going to read it. And someone's going to feel that passion, that joy of discovery. Whew. Thank you all very much. Let's change the world!